Okay, continuing on with our foundational movements warm-up, we're going to get a little bit more dynamic here. So we're going to include quite a bit more neuromotor training and balance with this. It's moving across the floor, always fires up the feet a bit more. So we're going to get started with one of my favorite exercises. May not be one of yours because it's a little bit difficult, but this one's always infamous. It's known as the bathtub walk. So we're going to take a bit wider of a base. This is what I call a ready base. Your ready base sits yourself back through your heels a bit more so that you can tap your toes. Sitting your weight back through your heels engages your posterior chain a bit more. It slightly angles our spine forward, and so we have to maintain good engagement of our core as well. From here, you're going to act like you're getting up and into a bathtub, and you're going to act like you forgot something, and so you have to get up and back out of that bathtub. And we're basically going side to side, alternating in a side to side manner. Up and in, and up and out. That's number 2. Let's continue for about 10 in each direction. The distance, or the distance that you step, and the height that you draw your foot up to and draw your knee up to is all based off of what your mobility allows. What I don't want to see is big compensation movements where you're all super unstable and wiggly and jiggly. So I want to be standing pretty much upright, under steady control, and most importantly, we pull the toe up with the knee, because what's going to get caught on that tub, most instances, is the toe. Use your hands if you need to. I'm sure we're coming up on number 8 or so. Let's continue. You should start to feel those hip muscles, core muscles, especially if you're staying engaged. The more engaged you are, the more control you'll have, and the more effective this training, this neuromotor training is going to be to fire you up, warm you up, and start picking your respiratory and heart rate up as well. Next, we're going to go into another lateral motion. It goes from a bit wider of a base, and it's just a little side step. So I want you to open those legs up. That's a tough thing for a lot of people to do, especially as we get older and older. We really become very narrow and restricted in our hip range of motion. If your hips are healthy, make sure that you're training them in all degrees of motion and trying to improve the strength, stability, and flexibility of our hips. Very simple. This is a side step. Now, if you have some room, you can sidestep across the room, even 2 repetitions to one side. If you don't have a lot of room, then you're just shifting side to side. I bring my hands up again. This is what I know I've taught as the ready position for years and years. Hands are ready. Excuse my language, but I also call this the oh shit position. And that's when, something's gonna fall off the countertop, or you see your granddaughter about to fall down. You load into this position so that you're ready to react and respond. It's a very reactive position. Our joints are soft, our muscles are engaged, and that's probably enough there to start warming those hips up. We're going to continue with a bit more focus on balance, starting with our tightrope walk. We'll do two rounds going forward, heel to toe. Here I'm literally on a tightrope going in a straight line. If you need to go more on a plank walk and have your feet more separate or some space and a wider base, then that's fine. Start where you need to. I am planting heel to toe and feeling every millimeter of the bottom of my foot. Take about 4 steps forward, and then I go backward. If you're not used to this, walking backward is pretty funky, especially on an unstable base. Can't see what you're looking at. Now as you go forward, I want your eyes up. As we click into a little bit more neuromotor demand and reaction time, coordination of neural patterns from the brain to the body, I need you to really make sure you focus your vision. Soon, I will tell you the opposite, and I'll make you change your vision as you become more proficient and more skilled in neuromotor training. I think we did about 3 of them there. That's good. Slow it down, feel the reaction times, hyper-load that neuromotor training system by moving slower with steady control, moving with intent. Now we're going to go into our a little bit more of a march in place type of series. I've got a whole series of these if you want to go check them out on my library. There's a lot of walking in place and dynamic marching, and what we're doing here is the hacky sack series. We're just going to do one of them, but I want to give you a little taste of things. The hacky sack series, like it sounds, it's going to look a little bit like you used to if you used to kick around the hacky sack. Could be a soccer kick. Starting, we just bring that heel up to the midline in the range of motion that you can. What we're doing is getting a hip stretch in the back here. What I don't want to see is that you're loading your ankle up and in some weird torsion position, trying to pull your ankle up higher. It's more about keeping things pulled up in your toe in a nice straight line. So I keep my toe pulled up, but I raise the heel to the midline. Now, if you have good balance and you have good range of motion in your hips, you can start to add a little more to this hacky sack series. A little higher raise, a little bit more motion through the hips. We have a lot of strength happening in certain portions of that ball and socket joint, a lot of activation going on. We have standing balance activation on the other side, and then we have the dynamic stretch coming across the thigh, into the butt cheek, into the lower back. We're almost done here. I'm using my arms just to give myself a little bit more work through the body, and you'll hear it in my breathing. Starting to get my heart rate up a little bit more here. Starting to warm those muscles up, get oxygen flowing, nutrients flowing. Last one, and rest. Okay, moving on, we're going to go into our final, the most intense of the neuromotor overload. It's the single leg stance. May not be intense for you, but just starting with the foundation is okay. We're going to soften the knee and pick one leg up. Position that other foot wherever you want. We'll start with this foundation. Everyone's got to work a little bit at it. For me, you can see I'm not having to really adjust a lot, so I need a little bit more of a demand. Oh, unless I try to do that. So what I can do is simply cover one eye, changing my depth perception, changing the information coming through my visual system. I'm going to change to the other eye, and you'll see I have to put that other hand out there now, because that longer position of your arms helps you control center of gravity a little more. And let's rest. Woo! Starting to fire things up through that lower leg now too. Shift to the other side, pick up the foot. Did you start with your dominant leg or your non-dominant leg? I started with my non-dominant leg. It's a habit that I've built over time. That's something I would recommend, and if you have a pretty big disparity between side to side, cover one eye here, then I would train that weaker or less reactive, little misbehaving side twice as much if you need. Because that one can become the real problem if we go into a situation where we're unstable and we're working to maintain our stability. Oh my goodness. Woo! Good, rest. That was tough. Okay, around to the fun. A little bit of hand-eye coordination. So this is neuromotor training with reaction time. Not so much stability of the shoulder, but mainly the quick reaction time and responses for that upper body. So grab a hold of that ball that we told you would need. And we're going to start with a simple bounce and catch. Overhand catch from the bounce. Let's see if my dog doesn't come running up here. We'll do about 5 of them. I'm not starting in my non-dominant hand. You guys got to remind me. This time we're going underhand catch. You can look at it. That's fine. Keep your eye on the ball. That's what they always told us back in T-ball and in early stages of skill development, right? Overhand catch, off the bounce on the opposite side. Five or 6, and then we're going underhand catch. One way to really just immediately make this way harder is to not stare at the ball. Ah! Oh gosh. And then you gotta run past the camera. I'll be right back. Wait for me. I'm here. Okay. We're switching on to that second portion. This is a toss and catch. So this one gets a little bit harder. You're just gonna toss it up and catch it. It seems easy, but if you haven't done this in a while, these are skills that our hands, fingers, all those fine motor coordination skills that we neglect, we'll lose them. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. Real simple, we'll do about 10 of these. Toss and catch. It's an underhand catch. You can do overhand catch, but it gets more tricky. I'll probably end up slapping the ball right to the camera here. So, underhand catch 10 times or so, 8 to 10. Another way to dial up or dial back your reaction time training for the hands, simply to throw it higher or throw it lower and quicker. You'll get that change of timing and reaction time, one overhand catch just for the fun of it. So we have bouncing, tossing, and I've got a couple of series online also that you can go check out for a lot of variations and how to include a simple tennis ball or some kind of bouncy ball to challenge your mind-body connections to your hands. Nice job. We should be fired up and ready to go. Hope to see you again.